Okay, it should be working now. Thank you, FireGamer579, for your help. And I should be a I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, it should be working right now in both scenes, so let me know if you can hear me, please. I need the confirmation, otherwise I will not be continuing this. Okay, it should be working right now. I'm monitoring and it should be working. Okay, so sorry for the rough start, but starting... Thank you very much. Perfectly clear. Hello, Miguel. So we are going to discuss the breaking news that Daniel Ricciardo will leave McLaren at the end of the 2022 Formula One season. So this is something that we were expecting to happen since the Piastri saga started, but this is some breaking very interesting news because the team has stated that this is due to a mutual agreement. So if, as you guys know, Daniel Ricciardo actually had a contract with McLaren up until the end of the 2023 season, so McLaren are needing to pay him off one season early in order for him to leave the seat. So it looks like the McLaren Daniel Ricciardo relation was not working at all. And this is a very unfortunate news because I like Daniel Ricciardo, not one of my favorite drivers, but someone I enjoy see racing, and especially in his Red Bull days, he put some daring moves on everyone, and is a driver that I really hope is still on the grid right now, not on the current Daniel Ricciardo form, but on kind of another. If we could go back 3 or 4 seasons to the level at which he was operating at Red Bull, Daniel Ricciardo is a very good driver and someone that I will miss seeing on the grid if he doesn't find a seat. But in this live stream, we are going to talk about where Daniel Ricciardo could end up, who is going to replace him. But first, let's actually check out what McLaren and Daniel Ricciardo are saying about this. Okay, so checking out the official announcement here on the McLaren website, you can read that the McLaren team thanks Daniel for his dedication and contribution, including that memorable win at Monza. So McLaren Racing and Daniel Ricciardo can confirm that Daniel's 2023 contract has been terminated early, as both parties have mutually agreed that he will leave the team at the end of the 2022 Formula One season. So this part is the part where it's mostly the PR speaking, because I don't think that this was as mutual as we were expecting, because if we go to Daniel Ricciardo's Twitter account, going back just a couple of months, he was telling the world that he was ready to fight for the McLaren seat, he was ready to fight to make it work, and now just 1 or 2 months later, McLaren is here telling him that this contract is pretty much terminated. So what happened here was that McLaren needed to pay off Daniel's contract because the option was on Ricciardo's side. So Daniel Ricciardo had a contract for 3 years where the option to stay for a third year was on his side. So Ricciardo could terminate the contract early without any penalty, but McLaren couldn't. So what this means is that McLaren actually terminated the contract early, which means that they need to pay off Daniel because they are finishing his contract early. The figure that's been circling around is that if Daniel doesn't find another seat in Formula One next year, McLaren needs to pay him $21 million, which is about the same worth as his entire Formula One contract. So he already got paid for the first 2 years of his contract, but now to terminate it, the alleged figure is that he's going to be paid as much for not racing as for his entire 3-year contract. So a very, very big figure. And here it says that the team will announce its full 2023 driver lineup in due course. But we can pretty much confirm that the 2023 driver lineup will be Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri, because Piastri said that he wouldn't be driving with Alpine for the 2023 season, even though Alpine announced him. And if Piastri was not going to drive for Alpine, well, he would only drive for a team that would be at least as good as Alpine, and in that case, this is McLaren and not Williams, as the rumors speculated. So here it says that Daniel Ricciardo, it's been So Daniel Ricciardo says that it's been a privilege to be a part of the McLaren family for the last 2 seasons, but following several discussions with Zach Brown and Andreas Seidel, we decided to terminate my contract with the team early and agreed to mutually part ways at the end of the season. I'll be announcing my own future plans in due course, but regardless of what the next chapter brings, I have no regrets and I'm proud of the effort of the work I gave McLaren, especially that win in Monza last season. I've enjoyed working with everyone at McLaren, both trackside and back in Woking, and I'll be giving my all on and off the track and enjoy the remainder of the season together. I've never been more motivated to compete and be part of the sport that I love so much, and look forward to what comes next. So, this is the standard PR speak that Daniel Ricciardo would say following an announcement like this. But I just think that this is very unfortunate news for Daniel. I think that he was really trying to push to keep that McLaren seat, and I think that any seat that Daniel gets now will be a downgrade from what he got at McLaren. So he got to the heights at Red Bull, then he got a little bit lower to Alpine, then he kind of upgraded to McLaren, but that really never worked out. And now Daniel is out, and he has very few contract options left. So you guys can let me know if you're watching the live stream. Where do you think that Daniel will end up in 2023, or if he'll be in the grid entirely? And you can let me know as well, who do you think is going to partner Lando Norris at McLaren? But I think that there's no debate. The announcement should be going out tomorrow that Oscar Piastri is going to replace Daniel. So this is one of the biggest driver market shakeups that we have seen in the last few years. The last driver market shakeup that we have seen this big was when Daniel announced that he was going to be leaving Red Bull and going to be replaced by Pierre Gasly, and we all know how that worked out. That's why we are here. So Daniel's tenure at McLaren was really a rough one. He has got the highs of that win at Monza, but that was really a one-off peak, and it's very shameful because you think that how happy Daniel was to win with McLaren. He really wanted to make this work. He really wanted to make this contract work. And once again, this is not a driver that I really support. It's not. I like Daniel, but it's not one of my favorite drivers. But McLaren is one of my favorite teams. I am a fan of transparency here on the channel, and it's a real shame to see that his partnership with Lando Norris didn't really work. He's currently way behind Lando. So if we go to the Formula One, if I manage to write it correctly, so if we go to the Formula One website and you can check the where can you check the standings? Okay, here it is. So if you check the standings, you can see that Daniel Ricciardo has 19 points to Lando Norris 76. And when you compare that to the team to which they are competing the most, which is Alpine, you see that Norris is above both Alpine drivers. So if McLaren had two drivers competing on the same level as Lando Norris, well, they would be way clear of Alpine in the constructors' standings, and it's really Ricciardo that's bringing him down. Even though Alonso really started the season badly, now he is way clear of Ricciardo. So it's a real shame that it didn't work out. McLaren's cars are very tough to drive. Carlos Sainz told it to Daniel Ricciardo when he started the contract that McLaren would be a very tough car to drive. But no one really expected this. We all expected Daniel to do better, but it's a very big shame that he couldn't do it. Okay, so Miguel says Alpine is the obvious choice, but what about Haas? Well, Alpine is the obvious choice, but does he really want to go back to Alpine? And I'm telling this because both him and Alonso have now left Alpine on their pure will. So both Alpine. So let me rephrase this. So Alpine wanted to re-sign Ricciardo, and now in 2022 they wanted to re-sign Alonso, but both drivers found a way out of the team instead of staying. So this means that there's something about the project that Alpine is running that really doesn't fit well with what the drivers want, and they don't see a bright future for the Anson team in Alpine, because otherwise they would be resigning. Now Alpine would be no doubt the best option for Ricciardo. It would be the team where he would have the biggest chance of scoring points and race wins because it's a factory team. It's going in a very positive direction, And even though they are both of their drivers are behind Lando Norris in the standings here for the drivers, Alpine is winning to McLaren in the constructors. They are a factory team. They build their own engine, so it's a very prosperous project. And I think that maybe it's something to do with Laurent Rossi's leadership that really makes drivers go away from Alpine. When it comes to Haas, you say, but what about Haas? I think that Haas will be the place where Daniel will end his Formula One career with a 2-year contract. That's really, I think it's imminent. It's going to be announced. If you go to Twitter, it's really been over the last couple of days really rumored that Daniel has been talking to Gunther Steiner. And I think that Haas would be a major downgrade for Daniel. And I think that even though Haas is a team on the rise, a team that's going from being the last on a Constructors' Championship to have a very solid foundation. I was actually recording a video about Haas once this video broke news about their upgrades that they brought to Kevin Magnussen's car in Hungary. But they are just not a race-winning team. They are a very solid midfield team. And I think that it would be a very good place for Daniel to end his career. It would be very good for Haas if they were going to get Mick Schumacher out of that seat, to get two experienced drivers in Kevin Magnussen, which is performing really well, and in Daniel Ricciardo, and they would be able to develop the car a lot. But does Daniel really want to be in Formula One just to make up the numbers, or is he there to win races? Because every time he has spoken out, be it at Red Bull, be it at Alpine or Renault as it was, or be it at McLaren, he really wanted to win races. And I just don't think, I think that the move to Haas is his best way to stay on the grid probably, but is it his best way to win races? I don't think so. I think Alpine would be much better. But I think that if the option comes to shove between not staying on the grid and a team like Haas or Williams, Daniel will opt to stay on the grid. Personally, I don't think that's the right decision for him. I think that he should go and win those races in IndyCar, in WEC, but I can understand the appeal of Formula One. It's what these drivers have been fighting their whole lives for, and it's a very complicated decision to leave the sport you love so much. Okay, surely he doesn't want to go to Williams. Well, I'm not sure about the whole Williams situation. So we know that Alex Albon is staying there, and we know that Nicholas Latifi is probably leaving, and that they are between drivers like Logan Sargent in their junior program, which they really want to put in the car, because especially now that they are run by an American backed venture capital fund, I think. They really want an American driver there, but is Logan Sargent ready? I don't think so. I think he would benefit a lot from not winning the Formula 2 championship and staying there for one more year. And then I think that Logan Sargent would be ready to go to Williams. But for now, I think that Williams would want Daniel because he's way better than Latifi, a big upgrade. And I think that we have proven by now that Daniel has a very good potential to at least stay on the level of Alex Albon, if not beat him. So I think that Williams really should want Daniel, but I don't know if Daniel would pick Williams over Haas, because if you take a look at their cars and at their positions in the standings, I think that Haas has really made a better car, and even with the Ferrari and reliability, I think that Williams really dropped the ball with this regulation set. It was a little bit too soon for them. I think that if the regulations came in at 2024, they would be ready to take advantage, but right now they are way clear of the field. They are way in the back, and I just don't think that Williams is the right place for Daniel. And right now, I think that as we said, as to who is going to be in that McLaren, I think that Oscar Piastri is going to be announced imminently. I think that there is really no other candidate to go to Haas. But I've got a comment here. Do you think Schumacher has a chance of going to Alpine? Well, that was my last driver news shakeup, because I think that Schumacher, if Daniel goes to Haas, which I think is what is going to happen in the end, I think that Schumacher is in a real tough spot, because even though he has proven once or twice that he can score points, he has taken a really long time to adapt to the 2020. He's taken a really long time to adapt to Formula One. He is going to take a while to adapt to any new team that he's going on to, be it Alpine with a brand new power unit that he has to learn, or be it any other team, or be it Williams where he would also have to learn the Mercedes power unit. I think that Mick would take a long time to adapt. So I don't think that he's the driver that Alpine want. I think that, as Daniel says here, Pierre to Alpine, Daniel to AlphaTauri. I don't think that Daniel is going to AlphaTauri. No, no way in hell, because he's done everything he could to run away from that Red Bull family. So no way that he's going to AlphaTauri. But Pierre to Alpine is not a bad shout. With that, I'm not saying that Mick is going to go to AlphaTauri. It's really complicated with Mick Schumacher, because if you put Daniel in the Haas, you really only have the Alpine or the Williams to put Mick Schumacher. Now, do you think Alpine wants Mick Schumacher? I'm not sure about that. I don't think he has shown enough to be put in such a good car. I think that Alpine has better options. But if you think again, who are those better options? It's really tricky. I think that the perfect candidate for that Alpine seat would be Pierre Gasly. I think that he is also one of those drivers that's sick of the Red Bull program. He really would benefit from getting out of there. He really would benefit from having a drive at another team and getting out of that program in order to see if his career could progress. And I think that he has shown enough, not really this season, but in past seasons, to warrant that Alpine seat, whereas Mick really hasn't. I don't think that Mick will end up in the AlphaTauri, because after all, he's a Ferrari-backed driver. So I don't see him going to a team backed by Red Bull, which is Ferrari's main enemy, as you could say. I think that if Mick leaves Haas, he will be in a very tricky spot. But I think that in the end of the day, he will end up at Williams, partnering Alex Albon at the end of the 2022 season. I think that this is really the only place where Mick could go. But the entire Alpine driver situation is very tricky. When it comes to AlphaTauri, who would they put in that car if Pierre would leave? I think that they would put Liam Lawson, because of the whole Yuri Vips controversy. I think that he's out of contention for that seat. Liam Lawson seems to be ready for a Formula 1 drive, kinda. He's been performing well in Formula 2, so I wouldn't put it past Red Bull to put Liam Lawson in the car, and this really shakes up the entire driver market. Now, you guys, if you want updates on this whole situation, you can follow me on Twitter at Vasco Motorsport here. I'm going to be updating you every time I go live, and with breaking news and comments, and every time I post a video. And you can see here updates on tracks such as Spa. So you guys can follow me on Twitter if you guys want live updates on this whole situation. I'm just going to check in to see if there is any updates on the Piastri situation. So I don't think so. I think everyone is on the Formula 1 manager hype train right now. So okay, so they are not going to announce anything right now. It would not be the place. It would not be the time or the place to just announce Daniel who is going to leave and then immediately announce that Oscar Piastri is going to drive for the team. They need to wait for this whole news cycle to end, and then they can announce the Piastri move. And I think that overall this puts all of the teams in the grid in a very tricky situation, with the exception of Haas, because if Daniel goes to Haas, it may even be an upgrade over what they have right now with Mick Schumacher. But for Alpine, this puts them in a very tricky situation, because who are they going to put to partner Esteban Ocon? Esteban is not ready to be a team leader, in my opinion. It just is way overly aggressive and is making a lot of mistakes. And I think that when it comes to Haas, they are going to put Daniel Ricciardo. When it comes to Williams, I really don't know. Probably Mick Schumacher would be a good call. But you also have the news that not Alex Albon, Antonio Giovinazzi is pushing way hard to get a Formula 1 seat. Now, in my opinion, he doesn't warrant one. He really had his time in Formula 1, and he didn't show any glimpses of being a great driver. And when he got to Formula E, he didn't score a single point. Okay, his car was not that good, but if he's going to warrant a comeback to Formula 1, does he really want to come back with Williams, a team that's lower down the field than the Alfa Romeo he left? I really don't think that Antonio Giovinazzi is going to get a seat in Formula 1. Alpine will announce him within 7 to 8 hours. So do you think that Alpine will announce Daniel Ricciardo? I think that would be a crazy shakeup to the driver market. And at the end of the day, and I know I've contradicted myself a few times here, but I really think that he's the best option that Alpine has got. Alpine is the best team that Daniel Ricciardo could probably hope to go for, because even if he didn't believe the project when he left, he needs to take a look at the results. And I think that Alpine is the best shot that either of them have. So Daniel was getting some very good results at Alpine, and I think that it's the best hope that he has in order to score any points in the future of his Formula 1 career. Going to Haas would be very tricky, and if Daniel would go to Alpine, I think that would mean that Haas would keep Mick Schumacher or replace him with Giovinazzi, and then that Williams would go with... Tricky situation here. This driver market is crazy. Do you see Perez at Red Bull for a long time coming? I see Perez completing his contract at Red Bull up until the end of 2024, and then I see them wanting to replace Perez with someone with a little bit more edge. So Perez is really going up to the end of his Formula 1 career. I think that they want to put someone young, because even though Max Verstappen has a very, very long contract, that contract won't last forever. That contract surely has performance clauses, and it's not a guarantee that Red Bull is going to be on top forever. So they really want to put some young talent, be it Pierre Gasly or Alex Albon again. I really doubt it. Yuki Tsunoda, I really doubt it. Helmut Marko doesn't really seem to like him. But maybe a driver that's in Formula 2 right now, maybe a driver that's out of our radars completely, or maybe a driver that's frustrated with one of the two other top teams, be it Mercedes or Ferrari. If you want to really grasp the situation, you can see a Ferrari driver going to Red Bull. I'm not sure which one, because they are really frustrated with the sport. But yeah, I think that would be a good shout. Any chance of Drugovich gets a spot, maybe Williams as a paid driver? Well, I would like to see Drugovich on the Formula 1 grid, because he's a very good driver in Formula 2, but then again, he's doing his third season in Formula 2. He's a very experienced driver, and the Formula 2 grid this year isn't the strongest one. It isn't the weakest one by far. The year that Nick De Vries won Formula 2, the Formula 2 grid was very weak. This year is stronger than that, but I think that Drugovich getting in Formula 1 is really a far-fetched. I really don't think that he's going to get to Formula 1, at least not in the coming years. I see him and probably Enzo Fittipaldi, with their Brazilian sponsors, really being pushed to IndyCar and doing great things there. I don't see him getting to Williams. Will Porsche coming into the sport? Perhaps Red Bull will sign a German driver, Mick. I see Porsche signing with Red Bull. I think that's pretty much a guarantee. I think that the whole Audi signing with Sauber and Porsche with Red Bull is pretty much a done deal. I don't see Mick going to Red Bull. I don't think he's ready. I don't think he will be ready. Like, no offense, I really enjoy Mick, and his father Michael was one of my Formula 1 heroes. But I don't think that Mick has got what it takes to drive at the front of Formula 1, because even though he has a glimpse of performance here and there, do you really think that he has what it takes to compare with drivers such as Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, etc.? Do you really think that he has what it takes to compare with those drivers? And even when you take drivers into account, such as Carlos Sainz, I think that they would crush Mick if he would go to a top team. And even though I said that Red Bull really wants a younger driver, I don't think that Mick will be that driver. And just getting ahead of any comment, I don't think that Daniel is going back to any car near the Red Bull family, because I really think that he really has shown everything there is to show when it comes to Red Bull. He really has achieved this peak, and at the end of 2018, with all those DNFs with the Renault power unit, he was really frustrated with the team, and I really don't know what's going to happen to Daniel right now. When it comes to the Red Bull seat, we can have an entire live stream discussing the driver market, and this was supposed to be a breaking news stream regarding Daniel Ricciardo, and it turned out into me talking about the entire driver market, who is going to end up at Alpine. And if you guys check the trends for you, I've just noticed it's Daniel Ricciardo, Haas, Oscar Piastri, McLaren, Zach Brown, Alpine, Mick, Renault, Schumacher, breaking news. So everyone is going crazy. I don't think there's any more breaking news. If there is, you guys please tell me because I really need to know. I don't think there's any more breaking news here. Okay, so I was seeing all of this Schumacher, Mick, everything breaking news. I thought that it was going to that there was any news that I was missing. Okay, so I agree. Mick is just overrated. Has a pedigree. Mick is overrated. Just has a pedigree from his father. Well, I think that Mick isn't overrated. I don't think that anyone is really putting pressure on Mick to be a world talent. I think that Mick is not overrated. I think that they have a very high expectations from Mick, and the pressure from those expectations must really crush him. You see how desperate he was to get a point when his father got point, I think in his first or second race. So no, in his first race with Jordan, he definitely didn't score points, but he scored points very early on in his career, Michael. So I really think that Mick had the pressure on him. It took a long time to score points. It caused a lot of crash damage to Haas. So in the video that I was recording about Haas, I was talking about the fact that why doesn't Mick have the Haas upgrades yet? Well, he doesn't have them yet because he crashed the car so many times in the beginning of the season that Haas hadn't the manufacturer capability to produce enough parts in order for him to have the upgrades at the same time as Kevin. So I think that Mick, you say that Mick could become a great driver, just needs time to prove himself. Well, by this point, he has had 1.5 Formula 1 season, he has scored his first points, but just take a look at those superstar drivers. Max Verstappen, first season at Red Bull, wins his first race. Okay, it was a circumstantial event, but even still. Charles Leclerc, first season at Sauber, that qualifying session at Brazil, my god, that was amazing. You see these drivers, Hamilton scoring podiums immediately. Okay, he had a car that allowed for it, but even then, it was a very impressive performance. I don't see Mick in the same performance ballpark as those drivers, and I don't see him ever getting to a great team. I think he could be a great midfield driver, but if he's not at the level of Kevin Magnussen yet, and we are talking about the Kevin Magnussen that spent a whole year racing sports cars and then came into Formula 1 and then bam, immediately beat Mick Schumacher. I really think that Mick is in a tough situation, and when I get started thinking about this whole driver lineup and driver market for 2023, I really don't see Mick with a spot for 2023. It's really tricky because Williams really would want Mick Schumacher. I don't know, he is obviously an upgrade over Latifi, a big upgrade over Latifi, but not much more than that. It's really tricky. And I'm just going to consolidate my ideas about the driver market. Is that a video you guys want to see? I can do either a video or a live stream on the driver market. Soon in the next couple of weeks. I can really do it. So yeah, I can do that video, and also as I'm live with you guys right now, I want to tell you guys that I'm going to Monza, so to the Italian Grand Prix. I'm going to go as a spectator, so I'm going to try to bring you some content around the Italian Grand Prix weekend. Not sure if I'm going to be able to with all the craziness around the track, but I'm going to do my best. And once again, you guys can follow me on Twitter for a little bit of a behind the scenes, even though I'm going as a spectator to Monza. So let me know if you guys want to see that video where I'm going to talk about the driver market and my predictions to 2023. I can also schedule a live stream after that video in order for you guys to tell me who do you think is going to get into each team, and then we can really discuss it thoroughly. Who is the best driver in the grid right now? This is going to be the last question I answer in this video. So I think I cannot give you one answer because each of the 3 drivers I'm going to list has got his strengths. So I think that in no particular order, it's Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, and Lewis Hamilton. Those are the 3 drivers that are operating at a crazy high level, way ahead of any other driver in the grid. They seem to be able to push whatever car you give them to the limit, to the edge of what the car is capable of, and sometimes beyond. When it comes to which one of them is best, it's really tricky because once you talk about which driver is the best, you really have to talk about a mix of qualifying, the race, changing conditions, car development, and I think that all three of them are operating at such a high level that's really tricky to tell you which one I think is the best. But it's between those three. I think that they are any one of them, if given the correct car, could be world champion. And I think that you are seeing that Max is really pushing the best out of the best car in order to become world champion. Lewis is making the best out of a bad situation and pushing that Mercedes to very good places in the grid. And then Charles Leclerc, he made a few mistakes this year, but even still, even if you take the points away from those mistakes, if that Ferrari was reliable, he could be leading that championship, and he was mighty in that first part of the championship on the first 5 races. So it's between those three. Those are the drivers that I think are the best, and it's very good to see that each one of them is in a different team from the top 3 teams. Each one of them, especially with the brand new rules coming into Spa, is in a position where they can fight for wins, and this is something that I really like to see. 3 drivers from 3 different teams fighting for wins, and it's something that I really want to see in the future staying. I really hope that Mercedes gets up to the level of Ferrari and Red Bull, and that Ferrari increases their reliability in order for us to have a 3-way fight at the top. But for now, I'm going to leave you with the news that Daniel Ricciardo is not going to be racing at McLaren for the 2022 season. Once again, let me know in the comments down below who you think is going to replace Ricciardo. I think it's going to be Piastri. And where does Ricciardo is going to end up for the next season? To sum things up, it's either going to be Alpine or Haas. If he ends up at Haas, well, then I have no idea who's going to end up at Alpine. But this was something that I really was expecting, was that we got a new news before the Belgium Grand Prix. So you can see here, it's this weekend. So we needed to get news, because imagine what it would be like for the teams to go into the paddock to not know these things. Imagine what it would be like for McLaren to have Daniel going into their garage with his future not certain, or without them having told him that he's not going to race for the team. Imagine the environment, the crazy bad environment that's going to be in the Alpine garage when their reserve driver Oscar Piastri gets into the door, possibly with a McLaren contract already signed and announced. And Fernando Alonso, the driver that told Otmar Zafnauer that he was not going to sign with any other team, and then one day later signed with Aston Martin. Imagine how the environment in that Alpine garage is going to go. And I really don't know who is going to be in that Alpine seat next year. With Seb retiring, there's a spot for a new driver on the grid. I don't really know who that is going to be. I think that Latifi is also going to be out, so 2 new drivers can get into the grid. Antonio Giovinazzi is looking ever more likely to be one of them. I don't want to be mean to Antonio, but I think that he has proven everything that he could prove in Formula 1, so I really hope we get some rookies in. Will it be Felipe Drogovic? Will it be Logan Sargent? I really don't know. Will it be Nick De Vries from Formula E to go to Williams? That's one of the most likely candidates. Well, it's going to be a crazy, silly season, so I'm going to be making more live streams as the news come along, as the news keep updating themselves, and I'll let you know firsthand on my Twitter feed who is going to drive where in the 2023 Formula 1 season. And once again, stay tuned, because I'm going to have a video somewhere around the beginning of next week or the end of this week to talk about everything that's updated on the Haas and the new updates that Haas brought to the 2023 to the 2022 Hungarian Grand Prix, and the updates that are going to be in both cars, and the ways in which they are copying Ferrari in the most intelligent way possible. But in the meantime, that's been it for this live stream. I really hope you guys enjoyed this kind of breaking news segment. I know that we ended up talking a lot about the driver market, but I really enjoyed having this discussion with you guys. So thank you to Fire Gamer, thank you to Miguel, thank you to Daniel, and am I missing someone? Fire Gamer, Miguel, and Daniel, those are the 3 that were with me live, constantly throwing questions at me and making this stream be very good for me to interact with you guys. It's really the thing I love. And if you guys want live updates on everything that's happening in Formula 1, well, please don't forget to subscribe here to the channel on YouTube and to follow me on Twitter at Vasco Motorsport, and I will see you in the next live stream. So thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.